You are not entering a city built for comfort. You are entering a city built for order. This is Paris in the year 1720. The streets ahead of you are already old. The stones beneath your feet have been walked on by generations who never imagined a future very different from their present. There is no rush here. Life moves at the pace of footsteps, carts, and voices echoing between stone walls. Paris is not quiet, but it is controlled. As you walk forward, notice the buildings. They do not invite you in, they watch you pass. This city was not designed to impress visitors. It was designed to function, like to feed itself, govern itself, and remind everyone of their place within it. You are not a tourist here. You are part of the crowd. The street narrows ahead of you. Two carts cannot pass each other without effort. Pedestrians press against walls to let traffic through. This is not poor planning, it is deliberate survival. Paris grew inward, not outward. Space was precious. Light was optional. Narrow streets trap sound. They concentrate people. They make movement predictable. Look up. The buildings lean toward each other like conspirators. Their upper floors almost touch. Sunlight reaches the ground only briefly each day. Most of the time, the street belongs to shadow. This is how order is maintained, not with signs, not with guards, but with stone. When streets are narrow, crowds move slowly. When movement is slow, it can be watched. Paris does not rely on force to control its people, it relies on design. Stop in front of a typical Parisian building. At first glance, it looks unremarkable. Stone base, wood and plaster above, windows unevenly spaced. But this building contains a map of society. The ground floor belongs to work, shops, workshops, storage. Noise lives here, smells live here. Above that, the apartments begin, but comfort decreases as you climb. The wealthy live low, they avoid stairs, they avoid carrying water. The poor live higher, they climb every day, they earn every step. The attic rooms are the smallest, the hottest in summer, the coldest in winter. Architecture does not hide inequality, it displays it. One building holds merchants, workers, servants, stacked vertically, separated by effort. You do not need to ask who lives where, Paris has already told you. Now watch the people moving past you. Clothing speaks before voices do. A man in a fitted coat and powdered wig walks with confidence. His shoes are clean, his posture deliberate. He belongs to money, administration, or law. A woman in layered fabric moves carefully. Her clothing restricts her motion. Her appearance signals respectability. Nearby, a laborer passes. Worn fabric, simple cut, practical shoes, no decoration. Fashion in Paris is not about beauty. It is about classification. Clothing tells others where you belong and where you do not. There are rules, some written, many enforced socially. Certain fabrics are reserved. Certain colors signal status. To dress above your station is not ambition. It is provocation. Paris does not reward provocation. Fashion here is a uniform, and uniforms enforce order. The market announces itself before you see it. Sound rises, voices overlap, arguments flare and dissolve. This is where Paris eats. Bread is everywhere because without it, nothing works. Fish from the Seine, vegetables from nearby land. Meat, expensive, regulated, watched. Markets are dangerous places, not because of crime, but because hunger has memory. People remember shortages, they remember riots. Prices are checked, weights inspected. The city cannot afford unrest here. This is where frustration gathers quietly. Markets are not chaotic. They are controlled pressure points. Paris survives by managing them carefully. The church dominates the square. It is not subtle. Its height overwhelms the surrounding buildings. Its stone is heavier, older. Inside, space opens upward. Ceilings rise. Sound softens. People gather here regardless of class, but equality is an illusion. Where you stand, where you sit, how you are seen. Religion reinforces hierarchy. It teaches patience, obedience, endurance. Architecture helps. You are made small here, not by force and by scale. Even those who doubt attend, because absence is noticed. The Seine appears suddenly. Wide, slow, unavoidable. Paris exists because of this river. Stone arrives by water. Food arrives by water. Fuel arrives by water. Bridges control movement. Taxes, trade. Every major institution faces the river. The Seine is not scenery. It is infrastructure. Without it, Paris collapses. Cities are not built where they are beautiful. They are built where they can survive. You pass administrative buildings. They do not compete for attention. They assume it. Symmetry dominates. Space opens. Guards stand without threat. Power here does not shout. It expects compliance. This is authority that does not chase approval. Paris is not free. It is organized. You have seen the Paris that presents itself. The streets that guide movement. The buildings that assign status. The markets that regulate survival. The church that reinforces order. But this is only part of the city. Much of Paris exists beyond what is meant to be noticed. Leave the open spaces behind, turn into a narrower street. Here, light fades faster. Stone feels damp. The air is heavier. These streets are not designed to be impressive. They are designed to absorb what the city cannot display. Waste moves quietly through shallow gutters. Water collects where it should not. Walls carry the marks of constant repair. Paris does not collapse here. It wears down. The buildings are still standing, but they tell a different story up close. Cracks patched unevenly. Doors that no longer close properly. Wood replaced where stone failed. This is pressure made visible. Listen to the sounds. Fewer conversations, more coughing. Footsteps that move quickly as if no one wants to remain. Disease travels through proximity, not announcement. Shared staircases, crowded rooms, water drawn from the same sources. People know this without being told. They adjust how they move, where they stop, which doors they avoid. This knowledge is not written anywhere. It is learned. Above you, life continues. Laundry dries in windows. Voices drift downward. The city does not pause because some parts suffer. Paris survives by separating itself into layers. Pain exists, but not everywhere at once. This is how large cities endure. Everything you have seen so far was designed for predictability. Streets, slow movement. Buildings assign position. Markets control supply. Religion disciplines behavior. None of this was meant to make life comfortable. It was meant to make life manageable. But every system creates pressure. And this is where Paris stores it. Nothing dramatic happens today, but endurance has limits. New walks, new cities, new stories. Subscribe to follow the journey.